Hey Growler Nation, my name is Ben with Growler Bikes, and today we're going to talk about some break-in procedures for your new bike. There's only a couple of things on a modern mountain bike that kind of have a break-in process. While I do recommend everybody should do like a nut and bolt check after a couple of rides, just to make sure everything's still tight and properly adjusted. In particular, we're gonna focus on a couple of things that actually do wear in a little bit and may require a little bit of follow-up attention. So after a few rides, any new shift cable is probably gonna stretch a little bit. It's no big deal. If your shifting begins to act a little bit funny, it's okay, it's normal, it's probably going to happen. All you really need to do is make a couple of turns on the barrel adjuster of your shifter, and that will add tension to the cable that has stretched, and you should be able to dial in your shifting without making any adjustments to the derailleur. It's just a cable tension issue, and most likely it's gonna happen on most new bikes. So with any new brake or any new brake pad that you put in your bike, I definitely recommend you bed them in properly. So that procedure usually involves a run down a long, steep hill, and the best way to do it is to do some repeated hard stops. The goal is to get some heat into the brakes. So what happens during this process is the brake pad material itself degasses, and it also transfers a little bit of that brake material onto the rotor surface. But if you get it good and hot, it will do both of those things, and will also burn off any small contaminants that might be on there from either manufacturing or assembly or whatever it might be. But it's actually a really good thing for your brakes to use them really good and hard. Don't be afraid, you're not gonna hurt them. What I do not recommend is that you drag your brakes. You don't wanna go down a hill and just hold it lightly. That can lead to glazed brake pads. That's not the way that your mountain bike brakes want to work. They're happier if you use them aggressively in sharp bursts. If you have access to a long, extended downhill where even if you need to, you can isolate one brake at a time and just do some good hard stops. But most likely you'll be able to feel it when it happens. The brake pads really kind of come alive, and all of a sudden they'll have a lot more grip than they did when they were new. So the last piece that has a tendency to break in is the headset bearings themselves. The ball bearings do wear into the races a little bit, and don't be surprised if you have a small knock in the front end. It's just the bearings breaking in and getting fully seated. It may even happen twice. All you need to do is just loosen your stem bolts and add probably a quarter turn or so. It's based on feel to the top cap. There is no torque wrench setting or anything like that. It's all based on feel. You want it to be snug and tight without binding. So you want to make sure that the handlebars still move nice and smooth, and you want to avoid any looseness. So the best way to check for that is to hold the front brake. With the bike on the floor, you're going to hold the front brake and rock the bike back and forth while holding the top of the headset, and you'll feel it knock back and forth if it's too loose. If it's not moving, you're all set. You're good. You probably have a good adjustment on there. You do need to be a little bit careful. A lot of times the brake pads will move in the caliper, and it will confuse you, and it'll feel like your headset is knocking back and forth when actually it's not moving at all. So in order to avoid that, what you can do is turn the handlebars 90 degrees and rock the bike back and forth that way. You can still hold the front brake, but your brake pads aren't gonna be moving. So that's a second way to check your headset. So there's a couple tips and tricks for any new bike purchase. A couple of small things to pay attention to that do have a minor break-in period. And like I said, I do recommend after 2 or 3 rides, going over the bike with a couple Allen keys and just doing a nut and bolt safety check is always a good idea. It's actually should be part of your regular routine anyway, just to make sure everything's still safe to ride. So that's it for this video on new bike break-in. Thanks for joining us. If you liked our video, please give us a like. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.